This year I ran my first ultra marathon. It was the Carolina Spartan Ultra, and this medal is really heavy, by the way, so I'm not gonna wear it the whole time. And no, I haven't been wearing it since I won the race, although it's tempting. It's a 31 mile 50K, and if you don't know Spartan, it's not a road race. It's all trail, gravel, mud, water. About 6,000 feet elevation in this one, and I finished this race in. I didn't run elite or age group. I ran the open heat. I came in third in my age group, so third out of I think there was about 57 people or so, and I'm 35, so my age group's pretty tough. And for my first ultra race, I felt like I did great. I felt like I trained well for it. I did a lot of things to prepare for this to give myself my the best possible chance of getting through this thing and being able to walk by the end of it. So I just want to share a couple thoughts, a couple things that helped me get through it. And if you ever decide you want to be as insane as me and run a ultra marathon, see what you can do to make it a better experience. So first and foremost, you got to get your mindset right to be able to run 30 miles. I mean, I was out there for 7.5 hours. You got to get your head right, because there's going to be that voice in the back of your head saying, don't do it. You got to quit. Hey, it's been long enough. I don't know if your body can take this. I think you're hurting yourself. This is bad for you, right? And you got to be able to tell that voice to shut up. You got to be able to squash that voice that wants you to be weak. And there was plenty of little nagging injuries and things. I think I had a blister on the side of my foot or something for the last 5 miles or maybe more. I don't remember. I was having this weird pain in my knee for a while. I don't really know what that was. It went away. My ankles hurt. I don't know what I was rubbing them against something, I think. So I had like little bruises on them. But there's always going to be a reason to want to quit, and you got to be able to power through it. The next biggest thing is training consistently. So I didn't start at zero. I'd been a runner. I'd been doing this for a few years, and I had already ran a couple of marathons, including one about a month before this. I ran a few half marathons, tons of 5Ks, and about a dozen Spartan races, sprints, supers, beast. One stadium at Notre Dame, actually, which was an incredible experience. But last year I had ran about 450 miles or so, give or take. And I think by the end of this year I'll be doubling that. So I'm right around 900 miles now. And that means, I was out there running every single week. And contrary to what you might think, you don't really need to be able to run that 30 miles all in one go. If you want to get ready for a race like this, marathon runners will tell you the same thing. It's more about getting your weekly mileage up. So I never ran 30 miles until the day of the ultra. The longest I ran was the marathon, 26.5 miles, I think is what it came out to be. But I was putting in 30-mile weeks. I think I did 38 one week. I think I may have done more. I know I ran 100 miles in October and in November. And I was running short runs, like 4 miles. I would do it whenever I had time, and then on the weekends I would get in a longer run. So started out doing like a 10K, and then built that up to I think I did 10 miles, and then half marathons. And I never really did much more than a half marathon at a time, except for that one marathon. The other thing is I wouldn't start doing one of these if this is your first Spartan race. Do a sprint. That's the shortest one they got. It's about 5K, closer to 4 miles really. And then they've also got a super, which is about a 10K. And then there's the beast, which is the half marathon. And the ultra is 2 laps of the beast. So ideally I would do at least a beast before starting one of these, but you know what level you're at. Maybe you think you're ready for it, but if you're just a straight up marathon runner and coming into this, I don't know how well that translates because there's a lot more strength stuff involved, and it's not flat terrain. This one had 6,000 feet of elevation, so it's just a different beast. It really is. It's something else. The other thing is, I think some guys take this to extremes, but there's some gear that you really do need to get for this. So the number one piece of advice, as far as the gear goes, is you gotta get good shoes. I wear the Salomon Speedcross 5s. I ran with the Speedcross 4s for a couple years or whatever. I did probably about a dozen races in those things. They're just absolute tanks of shoes. They're made for this all different kind of terrain. They're meant to be just punished by mud and water. Really tough shoes. And they grip really well. You're going to notice when you're running one of these races, you're going to see guys out there wearing running shoes, and they're not going to be able to get over the walls as easy. The slip walls, they're going to struggle to climb over these things. Whereas the guys in the Solomons, they got these cleats on the bottom of them. They dig through so much better. They get through the mud better. They're just built for these kind of races. Next, you're going to want some compression socks of some kind. I wear mud gear, and I love them. I wear them to every race. It's the only time I ever wear them, really, is for Spartan races. And they're just, one, they're going to protect your legs from getting, like rope burn and scuffed up on things, but they're also just, they're more resilient to the water, and they're much better socks. Just don't wear cotton, whatever you do. You don't wear any kind of cotton. Just, it doesn't handle the water. So, dry fit, stuff like that. And, it's just, it depends on the weather and all that. So, the other thing some guys will wear is a Camelback, like a water pack. And I actually had one, and turns out it had a leak. So, test your gear before you go there. And I had a brand new pack, so I thought I'd be safe, but I filled it up with water, and looking at the bottom of my Jeep, saw some water at the floorboards, so had to make a game time decision. It was about 27 degrees, and I decided I would have to suck it up and find water at all the aid stations, and I carried a water bottle with me for a little bit of it too. So plan for adversity. Something's gonna go wrong, and that was my big one. I guess the other one was I had some aches and pains. I had a blister a little bit for a while. There's just something's gonna go wrong on a race this long, and you just gotta be prepared for it and ready for it. My arm started cramping. I forgot about this. So towards the end of the race, I guess my salt levels were getting low, and I would bring my arms up, and I wouldn't be able to get them back down. And another ultra was nice enough to give me some beef jerky. So that was a new one for me. I didn't know. I never thought to bring beef jerky, but the salt in it helps bring your salt levels back up. So I usually carry a mustard packet with me, but I didn't have one with me this time either. And the mustard packet, if you're cramping up, it's disgusting. If you rip open a mustard packet and eat it right then and there, it goes right away. As far as fuel goes, I bring a lot of water, and those Noon salt tablets, I'll throw those in there. I throw them in my backpack if I have one, my Camelback, or I'll just toss them in the water at the aid stations or in the water bottles. And the goo gels, I do those, but you don't want to do only goo gels. You're gonna need to mix it in with some real food, because they're too sweet and it's gonna upset your stomach. So I would do a goo gel every 45 minutes, and then on the next one, instead of doing a goo gel, do some real food like a granola bar, Cliff Bar, something like that. And some people struggle to eat, but I mean, if you're gonna be out there 7.5, 10, 12 hours, maybe longer, you're gonna need to eat. You're gonna need some real food. So halfway through the Spartan Ultra, you go into what they call the transition area, and this area is kind of tricky in that you don't want to spend too much time in there, because your body's going to get comfortable, and the longer you spend there, the less likely you are to go back out again. So at transition, you're given a bin. They call it the bin drop. It's whatever you want it to be. I don't think they really care what you use, but most people have a 5-gallon bucket. That's what I used. Like regular bucket you get from Lowe's or Home Depot. And um, you want to decorate it, put a bunch of stickers and stuff on it, make it so you can find it really easy because everybody else has a bucket out there. And you want to pack it up with whatever you might need halfway through. So I brought a change of clothes. This race I went into started, it was 27 degrees and the sun wasn't up yet. And by the end of the day, it was like 55. So at the transition there, I changed. I got out of my wet clothes. They're all sweaty and gross. And put some fresh clothes on. Even changed my shorts. No one really cares. I mean, it's just a different environment. I also had some food in there. I had some Uncrustables. So I ate a PB&J sandwich. And then I chugged a Body Armor sports drink, one with caffeine in it. And had some water in there. And refilled on fuel. So Cliff Bars, goo gels, and threw a couple Noon salt tablets in my drink. And I was out, there pretty quick. I don't think I spent more than 5 minutes there, maybe even less. But going out for that second lap's tough because you know exactly what you're getting into. You're already tired, you're worn out. This is where you really have to be mentally prepared. And I had the luck of going out, and then almost immediately afterwards, a whole wave of beast runners had gone out right after me. So these guys were all fresh, and they took off way too fast. And 50 guys and girls or whatever just all passed me. But they went out too fast, and as that race went on, I remember seeing a lot of familiar faces. I caught up and passed a lot of these guys, and they were starting to struggle a little bit, and I think it humbled them a little bit to see a guy on lap 2 outrunning them. Not to be mean or anything, but it felt good. And so if you run the Ultra, they make you wear these purple singlets that say Ultra on them. And one thing that's really cool about the Spartan community is these guys, whenever they see you out there, they'll yell words of encouragement at you, which, I mean, when you're on your second lap, you really need it. I mean, you're kind of fading in and out of reality at times, and your body's starting to, it's getting to its limits. So they'll yell, "Hey, go Ultra!" or "Good job, Ultra!" You'll hear them whispering too, like, "Holy shit, that guy's gonna do 30 miles. Look at him go." And the other thing, and this is technically I think it's a rule. A lot of people don't know about it or don't follow it, and I'm not a stickler for it. I don't really push it. But technically, they're supposed to let the Ultra guys go to the front of the line at the obstacles. And, at like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, when it's starting to get busy, you are going to start seeing decent lines kind of building up, especially when some of the more tougher obstacles, some of these guys aren't, it might be their first time. Some people really struggle on certain obstacles. So they'll usually let you through. I don't really make it a thing. I might occasionally chime in, "Hey, Ultra here. Do you mind if I go ahead of you?" Other times people let you out in front of you without you even saying anything. The volunteers are supposed to kind of spot you. But I don't push it. If they don't see me, whatever. And I don't always feel comfortable. But you probably should try to get through at least some of the lines, because every time you stop, it's not about how long it's going to take you. It's about not moving, and you're more likely to start cramping up and just getting stiff. So you got to keep moving, even if that means trying to jump the line in front of people. It's just what you got to do. So how long are you going to be out there? I don't know. It took me 7.5 hours, and that was pretty fast. So it's probably, I think the average time is closer to like 10 hours, but there's going to be guys out there longer. The cutoff times are different for every race, but there's certain places you have to be. And I mean, if you're moving, you shouldn't have an issue with any of these. I think it was like close to 8 hours to get to transition. I was there in like 3.5 or something. And then it was pushing like 14, 15 hours by the end of the race to finish this thing. The other thing is, if you're going to be out there that long, or if you're starting that early like I was, they'll let you know before this race. But you're probably going to need to bring a headlamp with you because it's going to be dark. So I needed to bring one with me just to get started because it was dark for the first hour or so. And then I believe I had it with me for the second lap, but I was done well before the sunset. But you never know. You don't know how long you're going to be out there. So it's better to have it and not need it, right? Believe it or not, this was a fun race. This was the hardest race I've ever done by far. It was really satisfying, but it changed me, like, as a person. Like, I spent the whole year thinking about this race. I spent the whole year training for this race. I planned on doing this, about a year out or close to it. I'm a bit of a beer drinker, so I didn't really quit drinking, but I definitely cut back a little and changed the way I would drink. I like to drink those IPAs and craft beers, the ones that are like 200 to 300 calories, and I switched a lot of those out for Pilsners and lagers, so I was doing more 1 to 150 calorie beers. And I stopped eating so much processed food, like especially stuff that had like seed oils in it. I got away from a lot of that stuff. Ate more like paleo kind of food, like real, chicken, beef, vegetables, fruit, just anything real. I had some good training partners too. I met a lot of really neat people in the running community this year, and I was fortunate enough to meet a group of other really intense runners, including guys that run ultras. And I spent a lot of time training with them, running with them. So, I went from running like 9-minute miles on the road to like 7.5 minutes by the end of the year. I lost 20 pounds, in less than a year. I was kind of trying to lose weight, but really that was just from the intense training and the changing up my diet a little bit. And this is all while lifting and everyday stuff too. So it's not a full-time Spartan runner. And no, it was a good experience. And I went into this thinking I just wanted to get that medal and I'd be done, but I think I'm gonna run another one. I think I'll do it again. I don't know. The other cool thing is they have these medals they give out, and if you finish, you get a trifecta. So if you finish the 3 types of races, there's the standard way to do this is there's a sprint, which is the short one, the 5 kilometer, the super, which is the 10K, and then the beast, and that's the half marathon one. This year I did a stadium instead of a sprint, and then a super, and then I did the ultra. So kind of a different way of doing the trifecta, but it was a pretty great experience. And if you're looking for a challenge, if you're looking for something that's really going to push you, and you're already a runner, you're already in reasonably good shape, but you want a real challenge, there's not a lot of races out there that are harder than the Spartan Ultra. It's a different level. So I encourage anyone to try it out. It's more fun than you would think because you're not just running the whole time. There's obstacles. You gotta lift heavy stuff and hang from monkey bars and all sorts of different challenges. So yeah, the only downside is, once you're done, it's like that post-marathon depression where, you had this purpose driving you along the whole year, and then it's over, and you got to find the next challenge. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll see what the next challenge brings. There's a couple things I'm looking at, so we'll see. But let me know in the comments below if you ever ran anything like this. If you've ran an ultra, if you ran a Spartan race, if you've ran any kind of race. What's the best race you ever done, and what are you training for? I like to hear from other runners. I like to hear from other men and women that are really pushing themselves and challenging themselves and bringing out the best. So sound off below. And if you like this video, give me a like and hit the subscribe button. We'll be doing some more content like this.